Today, there are about 2 billion Muslims in the world, living across a vast area from Morocco to Indonesia. Islam, like most other religions, consists of a variety of movements that interpret the Quran and political events in the history of Islam differently. The two main branches of Islam are Sunni and Shia, with Sunnis making up the overwhelming majority of the total Muslim population. But how and why did the split in the Muslim world occur? So, you're watching Amazing History, and in this video we'll cover the origins of the split in Islam and the emergence of Sunni and Shia Islam. We will also look at the consequences that this had for the Caliphate and other states. Let's begin our story with Ali ibn Abu Talib, one of the key figures in the history of Islam. Ali was born in Mecca into the influential Hashemite clan and was the cousin of the Prophet and founder of Islam, Muhammad. They shared a close friendship. Ali's father raised Muhammad when he became an orphan, and later Ali lived in Muhammad's house. In 610, an important event in the history of Islam took place, known as the First Revelation, or the First Proclamation to the Prophet Muhammad. This moment in Islamic tradition is considered the beginning of Muhammad's prophethood, and Ali was one of the first to accept Islam and recognize him as a prophet. However, Muhammad's sermons at the very beginning did not gain understanding or support among the polytheistic Meccans. Both he and his first followers were subjected to persecution. During this period, there were widespread rumors of a conspiracy against Muhammad. This forced him, in 622, along with most of his followers, to leave Mecca and go to Medina. This significant event was called the Hijrah, the migration. The year of the Hijrah became the first year of the Islamic lunar calendar. The Hijrah was not only an act of physical relocation, but also symbolized a new beginning for the Muslim community and for the spread of Islam. In Medina, Muhammad and his followers gained greater support and opportunities for the development of the Islamic community. This also marked the beginning of a period during which Muhammad became not only a spiritual leader, but also a political ruler, playing a key role in the formation of Islamic statehood. In 623, Ali married Muhammad's daughter Fatima az-Zahra, which strengthened his connection with the Prophet and made him part of the close circle of Muhammad's trusted companions. Ali was known in the Muslim community for his wisdom and justice. Also, thanks to his military feats and bravery, he became known as the Lion of God. These qualities made him an important figure in the early history of Islam. By 631, the Islamic community, the Ummah, was able to establish control over Mecca and a significant part of the Arabian Peninsula, and had already become a formidable force. But who would become the successor of the aged Muhammad? This is where the reason for the split in Islam lies. On the way back from his last pilgrimage, Muhammad gave a sermon at the oasis of Ghadir Hum. There he took Ali by the hand and made a statement that was interpreted in different ways. Muhammad declared that Ali was his successor and brother, and those who accepted the Prophet as their Mawla should accept Ali as his Mawla. Sunnis are convinced that in this way Muhammad appointed Ali as his successor by calling him Mawla. This is a polysemous Arabic word with several meanings, one of which is leader or master. Sunnis, on the other hand, interpret this expression as the Prophet's closeness to his cousin and son-in-law, and as a wish for Ali to inherit his family responsibilities after his death, and they interpret the word Mawla as friend. Another important episode in the dispute over succession between Sunni and Shia theology is related to the so-called pen and paper episode. This hadith is considered authentic, since both Sunni and Shia theologians accept it, but they interpret it differently. According to this hadith, a few days before his death, Muhammad asked his companions to bring him a pen and paper so that he could write a will. and to prevent the Muslim community from going astray. But one of Muhammad's closest companions, Omar, said that the Prophet was seriously ill. And we have the Quran, and that is enough for us. This led to a loud argument in the room in the presence of Muhammad, who became upset and asked everyone to leave. It is still unclear what the Prophet wanted to write. Shia Muslims claim that he wanted to appoint Ali as his successor. However, it is impossible to establish this for certain. According to Sunnis, the Prophet did not explicitly name a successor and left this decision to the Islamic community. There are also other events that Sunnis and Shia Muslims base their claims about succession on. But to put it briefly, after Muhammad's death in 632, the Ummah did not reach a consensus regarding the new leader. While Ali was organizing the funeral, a meeting was taking place in Medina to determine the successor. Most of those present were Muslims living in Medina who had accepted Muhammad. Later, Umar and Abu Bakr, two other prominent companions of the Prophet, joined them. They took charge of the process in Ali's absence. Abu Bakr was one of the first converts to Islam and the father-in-law of Muhammad through his daughter Aisha. Deeply respected by contemporary Sunnis, he was very wealthy, made a significant contribution to the cause of Islam, and was perhaps one of the main contenders for leadership. Umar was also a close companion of Muhammad and also his father-in-law through his daughter Hafsa, known for his zealous defense of the Prophet. In the Sunni tradition, he is known as a just, intelligent, and wise man. After heated debates, Umar managed to convince those present to choose Abu Bakr as the successor, the Caliph, the ruler of the Muslims. Ali, along with a number of other companions, was presented with this succession as a fait accompli. At first, he refused to accept this decision, since it was made without him, while he was one of the strongest candidates. Umar began the process of persuading or forcing the companions to pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr. He personally came to Ali's house to persuade him. The events that followed became the subject of much dispute. Sunnis believe that Umar managed to peacefully persuade Ali to recognize Abu Bakr's caliphate. According to Shia sources, Umar forced Ali to pledge allegiance. What actually happened there is impossible to verify, but whatever the case, Ali recognized Abu Bakr and his successor Umar as caliphs and withdrew from public life. He was often consulted on matters of state. Abu Bakr was caliph for only a short time. At the end of August 634, he died, and before his death, he recommended Omar as his successor. The Muslim community unanimously pledged allegiance to the new caliph. After Umar's death in 644, Ali's candidacy was considered. But in the end, another companion of Muhammad, Usman from the Banu Umayyad clan, became the new caliph. Ali once again recognized the new caliph. But very soon, discontent began in the caliphate. The sources again do not agree on the reasons, but many claimed that the reason for the opposition to Usman was his nepotism and lenient attitude toward intertribal rivalry. The rebels offered to support Ali as an alternative to Usman, but Ali refused and even sent his sons Hassan and Hussein to guard Usman's house. In the end, despite all the protection, Usman was killed there. Usman by rebels from Egypt in 656. Finally, it was Ali's turn, and he became the fourth rightly guided caliph. But his election was not smooth, and he became caliph in a very turbulent time. The Prophet's wife Aisha and Usman's relatives from the Banu Umayyad clan, including the governor of Syria, Muawiyah, demanded that Ali punish those responsible for Usman's death. But since some of them were supporters of Ali, the new caliph refused, and soon the first Muslim civil war began, which became known as the Fitna. In December 656, the Battle of the Camel took place, in which Ali's army defeated the rebels near Basra. But Muawiyah still refused to recognize Ali as the new caliph and gathered the opposition around him. Ali did not repeat Uthman's mistakes and carried out measures to centralize the caliphate and reduce the power of provincial rulers. After gathering their armies, they clashed again at Siffin on the Euphrates in 657. Neither side wanted to engage in a major battle, but after 3 months of sporadic skirmishes, when serious fighting finally began, the supporters of Muawiyah demanded arbitration, apparently riding out with copies of the Quran on their spears to stop the conflict. Ali was forced to agree, but some of his followers objected and left him. They became known as the Kharijites, from the Arabic verb kharaja, meaning to leave, because they left Ali's army. According to the decision of the arbitration, which took place in 658 or 659, both Ali and Muawiyah had to give up their claims, and the Muslim Ummah was supposed to have the opportunity to choose their own ruler. Ali rejected this decision, and the stalemate continued. When in 660 in Damascus, the supporters of Muawiyah proclaimed him caliph. The following year, Ali was killed by the Kharijites. During prayer in the mosque in Kufa, Ali's son Hassan was proclaimed the new caliph in Kufa, which became the capital during Ali's short reign. But Muawiyah had a much stronger army, so Hassan stepped down as caliph to avoid further bloodshed, and a treaty was signed between the parties. According to the treaty, Hassan accepted Muawiyah as caliph on the condition that he would act in accordance with the caliph. Muawiyah was not to appoint a successor for himself, and the new caliph was to be chosen by an electoral council, the Shura. Muawiyah was to refrain from cursing Ali and from persecuting Ali's family and supporters. However, Muawiyah did not keep his promises, and at the end of his reign appointed his son Yazid as his successor. This meant a departure from the tradition of the Islamic Caliphate as a state that chose its leader through consultation or elections. Muawiyah convened the Shura in Damascus, the new capital of the Caliphate, and through persuasion and bribery managed to secure support for Yazid. This event caused serious opposition in various circles, which began to gather around the grandson of Muhammad and son of Ali, Hussein, who succeeded Hassan after his death in 670. Despite the opposition, Muawiyah managed to secure support for Yazid in Mecca and Medina. Despite the opposition, Kufa was a potential stronghold of opposition, and the death of Muawiyah in 680 marked the beginning of events that further divided the Islamic world. After the death of Muawiyah, Yazid became the new caliph, who immediately demanded allegiance from Hussein. Yazid's envoy failed to persuade Hussein and was afraid to kill him, since Hussein was the grandson of the Prophet. Around the same time, the people of the city of Kufa began sending letters to Hussein, expressing their disagreement with the rule of the Umayyads, about their support and intention to remove Yazid from power and put Hussein in his place. The people of Kufa were on Ali's side during the first Fitna, continued to support his family during Hassan's time, and were dissatisfied when he abdicated the throne in favor of Muawiyah. Hussein accepted this challenge and sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa to assess the situation. At first, Muslim achieved great success and reported this to Hussein. Yazid was forced to replace the governor of Kufa in order to crush the opposition in the city, and the new governor succeeded. Due to the weakening of support, Muslim decided to start an uprising before Hussein's arrival, but it was crushed. Hussein didn't know about this, and in September 680, he set out for Kufa, taking about 50 people and members of his family with him. On the way, Hussein received news of Muslim's death and the defeat of the uprising in Kufa. He urged those who had joined him along the way to leave, realizing the futility of his attempts to challenge Yazid. Very soon, the vanguard of Yazid's army encountered Hussein, and the envoy of the new ruler of Kufa suggested that he turn back. Hussein refused and continued on his way, accompanied by the envoys. On October 2nd, he reached Karbala and set up camp there. The next day, Yazid sent another 4,000 men to confront Hussein. The Umayyad army was ordered not to let his people approach the Euphrates River, to force them to retreat due to lack of water. But after 3 days, Hussein's group managed to gain access to water, which created a stalemate. For more than a week, Yazid's representatives tried to persuade Hussein to accept his fate and swear allegiance to Yazid, because they understood what consequences an attack on the Prophet's grandson could lead to. In the end, Hussein refused Yazid's offers, and on October 10th, the Umayyad army approached his camp. Both sides took up battle positions. Hussein's companions fought bravely, but the forces were too unequal. He and his men were killed. Among them were 7 sons of Ali, including Hussein himself, 2 sons of Hussein, 3 sons of his brother Hassan, and other grandchildren of Ali. Many of the Prophet's family members were killed. To be continued. This was the last straw that completed the split of the Islamic world and the division into Sunnis and Shiites. The process that began with the dispute over Muhammad's succession and continued with the killing of Ali and Hussein led to the split of Islam, resulting in the Shia, Shi'at Ali. The party of Ali first became a political movement within Islam and then turned into a branch of Islam offering an alternative interpretation of the Quran and Hadiths, their own view on Islamic jurisprudence, state and some religious practices. They revere the direct descendants of Muhammad, al-Bayt, as his rightful successors. Sunnis, also known as the people of the Sunnah and the community, Ahl-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, remain the majority in Islam. And although naturally some transformations occurred in Sunnism compared to early Islam, which came with changing times and various interpretations of the sacred texts by Sunni scholars. The main differences between the 2 largest branches of Islam go back to the events I have described. And although Sunni theology also respects Ahlul Bayt, it rejects the premise that the Islamic Ummah should be governed by Ahlul Bayt. The murder of Ali and the massacre of Hussein, members of his family and companions, strengthened among Shia Muslims the sense of injustice towards the Prophet's family and turned martyrdom into one of the main pillars of this religion. The martyrdom of Ali during prayer, the martyrdom of Hussein in the struggle against the supposed tyrant and usurper became a powerful symbol of Shia Islam. The first month of the Muslim calendar, Muharram, is an annual period of mourning for Shia Muslims. The 10th day of Muharram, known as the Day of Ashura, the day of the Battle of Karbala, marks the peak of the mourning ceremonies. Millions of Shia Muslims make the Arba'in pilgrimage on foot every year to the shrine of Imam Hussein in Karbala. The defeat of the Shia in the Battle of Karbala did not stop the supporters of Ahlul Bayt from opposing the existing order in the Islamic world. Dissenters rallied under the banner of Ali's party and challenged the rule of the Caliphate. Throughout the Islamic world, numerous powerful states and dynasties arose, such as the Fatimids, Buyids, Safavids, and others, driven by the powerful idea of Shia Islam. That's all from me, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.